What up, though? Welcome to the NFC South Blitz, episode 2. It's your boy T-Word, the People's Champ, here with my co-host, Shon Scott, Jamie D Farley, and Mr. John Gotti. Brat, we in the building. What's up, good people?
What's happening?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome back, everybody. There it is. The squad is in full effect. We 4 deep like we supposed to be. So we about to go ahead and get that week 1 recap. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to do our week 2 preview. Had a head-to-head matchup on the slate this week. Slightly surprising outcome, but not to everybody. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, let's start with the first game of the season, kickoff of the NFL season 2018. The Philadelphia Eagles hosted the Atlanta Falcons. And it was an interesting football game, to say the least. So we're going to go to our resident Ladybird so she could tell us all about this game so we can figure out what happened. Shon, where you at?
I'm still trying to figure out what happened.
Is that right? We all scratching our head. Them red zone trips looked a little rough. So break it down for us. What did you see that maybe was the key to the game for the Falcons?
Well, like I said last week, in my keys to victory, one of the biggest things that I mentioned was keeping Matt Ryan clean. He was going up against one hell of a pass rush, and they pretty much ate. Well, they didn't kill him in the game, but they stagnated him just enough. In addition to the red zone offense still not clicking, you're still not finishing drives. We were able to move the ball pretty much at will, but anytime when you can't finish a drive, when you got a quarterback who is under duress for most of the game, that's a tough win to pull out, and we just didn't have it.
There's something important that you're talking about, the fact that your team is basically very, very good at moving the ball between the 20s. So that 60 yards of field is wide open. There's a lot of space to cover, and it's easy. But then when you get down into those compressed sets and compressed places on the field, it seems like that's where the Falcons are finding struggle. Do you think that that's something to do with the way the plays are designed, or is it something more to do with the way Matt Ryan is reading the field in those shorter compressed situations?
It's probably a combination of both.
Okay. You
can't just hang it at the feet of Sark or just Matt Ryan, because we had a couple of times where we were expecting Devontae to punch it in and he couldn't do it. But it's got to do with a struggle he's had all his career. Matt Ryan, he struggles in the red zone. I don't know what that's about. I don't know how they work him out of that situation. But that's a problem that they have to take serious attention to if we are going to make a playoff push this season.
In my opinion, I think that I think you scheme first, and you have to get comfort in the scheme. So I always make jokes about Matt Ryan, but the biggest thing is he's had a lot of different offense coordinators, so he never gets fully comfortable in the scheme, which is also where the joke comes from about him not really being able to call his shot at the line. Like when you look at Breeze, Brady, even Carson Wentz last year before he got hurt, they could call their shot at the line with autonomy. Nobody would tell them anything. I don't think Matt Ryan has that, and I think it's them not feeling comfortable with him being comfortable in the scheme. Now, you have to scheme him into success in the red zone, meaning you have to use rub routes and things like that. So I think that would be the main area of focus to get rid of the red zone woes. That's just my opinion. Gotti, I want to bring you in, and I don't know if you got to see much of the game, but what do you think was some of the keys in that game?
Me personally, I would say I watched a little bit of it, seen a few previews and stuff like that. For the most part, I seen enough, but kind of, just piggybacking off what Shon said, it's not just one person's fault, man. Matt has his issues, and the team have their issues, period. So everybody gets a piece of the blame pie for them, I would say. Because, to me, just to take my little shot, it was just kind of deja vu all over again, man. The Eagles had them where they wanted them. They pride themselves off of defense, and they had them in the worst situation that their team is in, and it was just kind of the same outcome.
I could definitely agree with that. They got them in the right position. You get them in a defensive battle, and I think that tipped the scales in the Eagles' favor. Jamie, you got anything to say on the subject?
I just think they definitely need to improve on for week 2.
What was that?
It's just finishing drives. If you can go 1 touchdown, that's just not going to beat anybody in the National Football League. So they got to finish the drives.
Correct.
That is absolutely true. Finishing drives is the key to success for every offense, obviously. Now, on the defensive side, and I know we're going to probably talk a little bit more about the defensive side in segment 2. Defensively in that game, were you comfortable with the performance that you saw from the team?
I thought the defense looked stout pretty much throughout the whole game. I mean, when you're being put in a situation where your offense isn't really sustaining drives, or it was a little bit of a defensive battle for most of the game.
Right.
But what I saw out of the pass rush looks markedly different from how it looked last season. It's a real improvement. You got a lot of young guys on that line, so that's encouraging to me. To see them perform the way that they did.
Besides Vic Thursday. Beasley dropping in coverage, I still don't understand that.
Yeah, that's something they got to give that up. Let my guy be a pass rusher. That's what he was born to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think that Vic Beasley, hand in the dirt, and I'm gonna beat that drum until they start listening, I guess. And I would hate to see him come full circle against my team, but I think that that's the best use of that player. Why waste a draft pick on somebody and then make them do something different? Gotti, what you got?
For the Falcons, to piggyback off the Vic Beasley thing y'all are talking about, I remember actually in the Super Bowl. I don't know if Falcon fans remember too vividly, but I believe it was the down before they the Patriots scored to win the game. I think they threw a pass. Tom Brady threw a pass in the air in the back of the end zone, and if I'm right, if my memory serves right, Beasley was there, and you could just tell he's not like he's not just a linebacker. He's a pure pass rusher, because you could tell the way he attempted to go after that pass. It was just like it wasn't
natural.
He didn't feel comfortable trying to catch that ball. He didn't look like a linebacker.
Absolutely. Right. I remember, I'm going to leave this brief one and then we're going to jump into the Saints. So as a segue, I remember in 2013, after the suspension season, they tried to move Will Smith, who was not an elite pass rusher, but he was more of a play on the line and go get it. Well, they had him dropping in coverage. And in preseason, I remember him hustling and really giving a full effort to be that player they asked for. And he injured himself. He tore his ACL that year. And I think that was his last season in the NFL before he went over to New England to play with them in his final year. But all of that was to say you could really injure a player if you had him doing something unnatural. So segue from one Saint into the New Orleans Saints hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 1. And before the game, if you listen to Saints fans and commentators alike, this was an easy win. However, if you were in the NFC South invasion group, you knew that the Bucs were coming for a fight. So we're going to start off with John Gotti as the visitor. I'm going to give way to you, bro, this game, and then tell me how you saw it as you went on.
I'm sorry. Run that back. I'm sorry.
Basically, I was saying, tell us about what you saw when the game started, and then kind of tell me what you saw as the game wore on. Because to me, it was kind of the tale of two games if you look at it. But go ahead and share your opinion.
Okay. Well, at the beginning of the game, I mean, we realized that the Saints offense was still, the well-oiled machine that it is, and they pretty much just drove down the field and did what they wanted to do. At that point, I was a little nervous, but then I was like, now it's time to see what Fitz is gonna do. And sure enough, it was tied up in about 10 our offensive possession, and by then I was stoked. So I'm like, okay, we came to play some football, and I mean, pretty much in the first half, it was just kind of it was like a defense optional game. Besides the, I think we did have one sack on Drew Brees and a few. Well, of course, we had more than one. We had a few turnovers, but they were real timely. But other than that, I mean, nobody played much of rock solid defense that game. Neither team.
Nobody played defense.
Yeah, we got turnovers and we capitalized off them. So I mean, like I said, like we didn't play the best defensive game, but we that's pretty much how we were last year. Though we allowed a lot of yards, but we did get turnovers and stuff. So that's kind of like the defense is kind of looking the same a little bit right now. But second half it started to change up a bit. Defense was still the same, and the Saints started to apply more pressure on offense.
Right.
And I mean, it was just kind of like it had got to a point for y'all where it was just like for every punch y'all would try to come back with, we'd match y'all with another two, and it Definitely. Just eventually y'all just ran out of clock. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It would have it would have been a lot more interesting if there was more time left. But I mean, y'all just ran out of clock.
Well, and I mean, and I'm not even going to blame the clock. Y'all had the same 60 minutes. Tampa Bay had the same 60 minutes the Saints had. So they didn't really run out of clock. To me, they ran out of stops. They ran out of big plays. They ran out of everything that they needed to try and even tie the game. And that's kind of where it lies for me. Some people are in the mindset that that game was really over, and you needed a third down conversion for Tampa Bay in order to seal that game. So, because you think about it this way, Drew Brees had just driven the team down twice, and one drive was about 4 minutes. The other drive was 2 minutes, 22 seconds, something like that. I mean, he was just cutting through the defense, because I think at that point, this is what happened. Tampa Bay's offense was scoring so quickly at one point. They were getting off the field so fast, it wore the defense out. And that's why a lot of times I tell you, grind the pace down. So the defense was fatigued by that point in the fourth quarter. So you give Drew 20, I still put my money on Brees to go down there and get you at least 6. Whether they convert the 2 or not is a different story. But up to that point, he had proven that he could move the team down there. In the first half, though, I think Tampa Bay did everything they need to do. They went shot for shot. And the key moment was New Orleans on the second possession comes down and gets a field goal, and Tampa Bay answers with a touchdown. And that changed the game right there. A lot of people look at the turnovers. It don't matter. The Saints were still within 8 points with 2 minutes left in spite of the turnovers. It was that key moment where they didn't go shot for shot. Tampa Bay scored a touchdown. All New Orleans got was 3, and it was catch-up for the rest of the game. In the first quarter, Saints were outscored 14-10. Second quarter, Tampa Bay outscores the Saints 17-14. So that's a 7-point lead off top going into the half at a minimum, and I think that's part of your keys to the game. So in the second half, I just think that there were some adjustments made by the Saints coaches, but it was too little too late. And I have to give what's your offensive coordinator's name? His last name is Monken?
Yeah, Todd Monken.
I got to give that dude credit. He exploited the hell out of the defense. And for me, I mean, I don't know. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I feel like the offense we saw from Tampa Bay was the best I'd seen since Josh Freeman was there when he first was a rookie with the explosion. I hadn't seen anything like that out of you guys. And it was a sneak attack, if you ask me. It was pretty much nobody saw that coming except maybe Tampa Bay fans. I definitely didn't expect the creativity, the ingenuity. It was just a really amazing performance by the offense coordinator. I think he was really in his game flow that everything he called seemed to work. What do you think?
Right. That's definitely what it was. I mean, Fitz was a huge beneficiary of DK finally handing over the play calling duties so he could just be a head coach, what he gets paid to do. And Fitz being a vet, I mean, it was just kind of like it was kind of like now that you see it, it was kind of like a perfect situation for the team. We got a new aggressive play caller, a vet QB that understands what is expected and what kind of calls are going to be called during this game. So he pretty much knew he just had to just place the ball in the right spots, and everything else was, like you said before, was kind of just schemed open for him. He had the one-on-ones, he had the, you know what I'm saying, he had everything just schemed open for him. All he had to do was just put the ball there, and the receivers, they pretty much, they handled business. They all came to play.
And a clean pocket. Right. We didn't touch him all day.
Yeah, it was actually my quarterback making the coffee this time. Ain't that something?
Yeah, well, both the quarterbacks were sitting back there making coffee and cutting grass and all that other stuff in between snaps.
You right. Minimal credit for that one sack, but
yeah, I clocked all of the scoring plays, and both quarterbacks had 3 to 4 seconds every time they passed for a touchdown. You supposed to have the ball out your hands at 3 seconds. These guys were at 4 seconds in their windup, so nearly 5 seconds to throw the ball. You can't win that way. So I want the ladies to chime in and get their opinion. Shon, so what'd you see in the game? I know that you were very much had your eyes on the game, and you were kind of even giving the play-by-play to an extent. What'd you see on Sunday?
Well, I kind of expected New Orleans defense to kind of implode. I thought, as I said before, I've always thought you guys were overrated. I thought that I thought you guys would lose the game, but I was not expecting them to go up, Tampa Bay to go up 24 points on you guys at one point. I was stunned. Like, I definitely expected them to win, but that the way they won.
You sure you had us to win, Shon?
Yeah, I did.
I know one of our other co-hosts, I remember them telling me, I'm sorry, but I don't think y'all gonna win it.
Hey, but by all accounts,
I still love you though, Jamie. But I gotta remind you of your words.
I didn't expect y'all to win, which brings me to my question to T. But I did also tell you that I thought Fitzpatrick looked good in preseason.
Right.
And TK argued me down that there was no way he was going to match with Breeze and the other veterans that y'all got coming up for your second and third game. So my question to T is do you think that Fitz is really this good?
No.
Or do you think that the Saints just really slept on the Bucs and just laid down?
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not. Those are professional players to get paid to do a job. So you're not really going to get me to say, like, oh, they didn't see him coming. They saw him coming. They knew they had a game Sunday. They get paid to be there. I expect them to have that ass ready. What happened was, and I put this on the coaches were sitting in, and I'm not going to get too deep into analysis. I'm just going to say the defense they were in, they put their cornerbacks in a bad spot. When the first half was over, it took them midway into the third quarter before they changed out of single high defense. And if you change that single thing, just put two safeties back there. When they did that, it made the Bucs change what they were doing, and their drives took a little longer, less productive, and they were able to start to play catch up. When that happened, it changed the game. So to me, this was all scheming. This was really this is on Sean Payton and his defense coordinator, simple and plain. Not taking nothing from the Bucs, but I know that you're not going to see that same Fitzpatrick on Sunday. That's just my opinion, and I know we're going to get into that in the second segment. Because we got to talk about that game. I'm just saying. I mean, I think a lot of people are looking at the game and thinking like, damn, Saints defense is trash. But I think that the defensive coordinator was too stubborn and too cocky, and he believed way too much in some very young cornerbacks who had never been roasted that way.
Definitely the way y'all schemed. That was a scheme of a coach who believes their cornerbacks they got the advantage over the receivers.
Exactly. Yep. And it was poor matchups. Like, truth be told, when you see the second round of this, you're going to see Ken Crawley on Mike Evans, which is a much better matchup. Big physical on big physical, and Lattimore on D-Jax if he's healthy. You're going to see that matchup flip. So I know we spent a lot of time on this one, so we got to get to the Panthers. So, Jamie, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So what happened in week 1? You guys walked away, what was that, 16-10 over the Cowboys?
Yes, we did. I thought that
I thought it was 16-8. I'm sorry.
16-8. You're right. It was 16-8. That's my bad.
It might have been 16-8, but
16-8.
I thought that our defense looked really good, really, really good. The offense still needs some work, but overall, I was just happy about the win. McCaffrey had a fumble, but then he came out and he really showed up for us in that game.
Definitely. Let me see. Let me take a look at his numbers really quick. I was in and out of that game because I was trying to keep up with the Cleveland score. I done put my name out there that I think Cleveland going to have a lot of wins. So forgive me if they playing when y'all playing. But anyway, McCaffrey did put up 10 carries, 50 yards. Cam Newton had 13 carries, 58 yards, leading rusher, 1 TD. You also had Alex Arma. He had a 1-yard plunge for a TD. On the receiving side, McCaffrey had 6 catches, 45 yards. Looked like he had a great fantasy day, especially in PPR leagues. Devin Funchess put up 3 catches, 41 yards. To me, that's going to be the key to your offense right there. Funchess is supposed to be your matchup nightmare, so I think the productivity needs to come from his side. Do you think that there's a particular person? I know that Greg Olsen went down, re-injured an old injury. So where do you think the production that's going to be missed by Olsen, where do you think that's going to come from, Jamie? Is there somebody that we should look for that?
I'm not sure who's going to have to show up, but I will say I wasn't too really happy with Funchess at that game. I thought he should have showed up a little bit more. Like I said, McCaffrey had a fumble, but Funchess, he played okay to me. I do think that we definitely going to have some more weapons because Olsen shows up huge for us, and he has a broken foot, so I don't expect him back.
Okay, now what about on the defensive side? I mean, you held the Cowboys, and I mentioned that I thought that Ezekiel Elliott would be held under 100 yards, and truth be told, 15 carries, 69 yards, and the TD. I mean, that was kind of like and it was a late TD. The game was in hand at that point, but the defense appeared to do what they do, but we're not talking about the offense that the Bucs rolled out the other day. We're not talking about the Saints. We're not talking about the Falcons. We're not talking explosive offenses. We're talking about the Cowboys right now. Do you think that this was indicative of great defense, or do you think that maybe it also showed that the Cowboys were a little bit on struggle mode?
I think that both. I definitely think that the Cowboys' offense was trash. But I do think that there's some work that we definitely need to get done. We cannot go into playing Atlanta like this, or we just gonna lose. So I definitely think that even though their offense, is trash, I'm gonna say trash because that's what it is.
Wow. You know better.
Words.
But I think that we definitely have some work ourselves. And I was talking to the guys at work, and they agreed that their offense didn't do good as neither well as I. So I definitely think that our defense held it down for us.
Yeah, the defense
did what they do. That's been for a few years now.
Yeah, Carolina defense.
I think it's just you can't look at game one like that. I think North Turner still has his work to cut out, but I think that it's still going to be a change. So I'm just excited to see what goes down in week 2. But I will say that we cannot play the Falcons like we played the Cowboys.
My primary concern going forward in a North Turner offense is, if you think about his previous stops, he typically fed the tight end really well. So you got to figure out who that next tight end going to be that's going to step up and eat those touches, because that's going to be a big target. So with your primary tight end, so that means it's probably time for that next generation. Me personally, I think Olsen at this point, he getting long in the tooth. Maybe it's time to hang it up. I know you like to go out on your own terms, but don't break your body down, man. The game ain't going to give you nothing after the fact. But that being said, you got to have that next guy step up, and somebody who is the backup tight end. His name is like in my head, and I just can't get it out.
Oh man, if you would
is
ask
it Ian Thomas? Is that Thomas? Is that the backup tight end? I can't think of it. But anyway, I'll remember it in the second segment. But all that was to say, somebody's gonna have to fill that role, I think, for that offense to turn that corner and get you more than 16 points in the week, especially against a marginal defense like Dallas. When you get into the division where everybody's familiar with each other, it's going to be a little bit harder to scheme things open because they've seen your playbook. Like, everybody in division knows what Sean Payton likes to do, and that's why the games are so close in general. With North Turner, he's been around forever. I mean, he older than all of us combined, ain't he?
Right. You got jokes. You got jokes.
Come on, you know this old man River. Come on, give me one. But I think we could cap it right there and just say that there's a couple of work spots that definitely will require some improvement for the Panthers. And do you have a closing thought on week 1 before we take a break?
No, I just, we definitely got to, like I said, the offense needs to come out a little better for us to go into Atlanta to win. I think that the defense held us down. But, like John Gotti said, our defense just remains strong and looks strong. So we just got to work on that offense.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break of the day. This is the NFC South Blitz. Hey, this show is sponsored by United Principal Insurance, a.k.a. TK Theory. That's my homeboy. We say who that, but y'all keep live. We'll be right back. What up, though? Welcome back to the NFC South Blitz. This is segment 2. So in the first half, we talked about week 1. We got our little recap, aka just checking in, seeing what's good. So we all gave our opinions of the 3 games that were played within the NFC South division. Now we're about to shift our focus to week 2. And the first game on the slate, we're going to have them Bucks up. They're about to fire them cannons. And we got our resident Buccaneer, John Gotti, to break this down for us. So you got the Eagles coming to Tampa, so y'all get to hold down the home fort. This is a noontime kickoff. What can we expect in this game?
The first thing I'm gonna start off just is expect to be shocked. I guess I'm gonna say that, expect to be shocked like last week, man. I think the boys got a lot of fight in them, and that was, week one showed a lot. I mean, outside of the, outside if you break down the numbers and, and what the defense did. I mean, they still came to play though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Who doesn't get thrown all over by Drew Brees, man? And Nick Foles isn't exactly a Drew Brees. I mean, he's had a stretch since the end of last year. He's been playing pretty good, but even into the preseason and against Atlanta last week, he didn't impress me. Like I'm not too worried about Nick Foles at all. But I will point out he does have he is undefeated against the Bucs. So the few times he has started against us, he's beat us, and I'm sure coaching staff is gonna remind the players of that and stuff. So it's about his time to get to get something on the other side of that record, to get a loss on that record, because he's undefeated against us right now. We actually do pretty bad against backups too, T. So don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, man, that's just history. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it ain't enough tape or what. So.
Yeah, we do pretty bad against backups too, man. Keenum is about shit. Keenum's like 4-0 against us too himself.
Oh wow! Now that's interesting.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it hurt me to say that, but I'm keeping it real.
Yeah, because he's been in some trash offenses. So for Keenum to be like that, then that I think it's a tape thing. It's just not having enough data to make a decision on how to approach him.
That might be it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, we know what Nick can do. We played him twice, and like I say, he's 2-0. So it's time to get some revenge on him. And just as far as the other guys, I don't think Jeffrey's gonna be playing. So their receiving core will be a little weak, and so hopefully that'll provide a better matchup for our young cornerbacks and these rookies.
They did.
And this new guy that we just signed to from the Saints, Marcus Williams. Yeah, not Mr. Miss Tackle, but a cornerback.
Slight slug. That's okay. We got the better players, so I ain't worried about it.
I was just gonna ask T, how did y'all get rid of him?
We had too many cornerbacks. Saints cut a lot of players that's about to start elsewhere. Case in point, that dude probably start this week. That's just how deep.
He probably is gonna start because we got Grimes still out. We got Hargraves out for the season. So those were our two starting CBs. So right now we're sitting on about maybe 3 rookies and a few maybe a sprinkle of a veteran or 2 in there, but for the most part we got a lot of young guys in there. So we're gonna need we're gonna need that pass rush to really show up this week to help us put some pressure on Nick, and don't just give him time to sit back there and decide where he wants to go.
And that's going to be
a lot of pressure on him.
That's going to be the key to the matchup, to be honest. Just to go back to a point that you were making about the cornerbacks facing the receivers, fortunately, Philly is a little bit raped at the receiver position right now. However, they did cut Marcus Wheaton, and they picked up Kamara Aiken. Y'all may remember him from Baltimore having a pretty amazing season last year. And he's more of a deep threat. Actually, it's 2 seasons ago. He's more of a deep threat type of guy. So if you have good safety coverage, I think you'll be okay. But in one-on-one, I feel like he may have an advantage over some of the smaller corners because he's a taller receiver. On the defensive side, to me, I think that Philly's defense is going to offer a much better pass rush than New Orleans offered on Sunday. And I don't know why it wasn't there.
Definitely.
But, no doubt about that. No doubt.
And that's why I said I think that Fitzpatrick kind of comes back down to earth. And I'm not saying this guy's going to have a horrible game. I'm not saying he's going to throw 150 yards and 6 picks or anything like that. What I think is that you're going to see a more human-like effort. If he gets you 225, 2 TDs, maybe 1 pick, and y'all are in the game, win or lose, late in the game, I feel like that's a win for him. That sets him up for the future and momentum into the next game. So I'm not expecting the same type of thing. And I'm sorry, Sean, go ahead. I know that you got some points on this one too.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing with you because that pass rush is a monster. Like, hats off to them.
Definitely, Jamie.
But it is a monster. But we know, just in Fitz defense, we know he could get a little mobile if he has to. Like, he won't just stand there. And Fitz. One thing I like about Fitz, I don't know if people notice this. When Fitz says hike, if the middle, if those D linemen are coming from the outside and they leave that middle open, he's taking that immediately. He's not thinking. He's not looking at no receivers. Right. He's gonna take that. He's gonna take off. Yeah. Like he will not sit around if the D line is leaving a hole open when they're rushing. Right. He will take off. Like, he's not gonna just sit there and wait till everything collides. Right. Because I just me personally, that's kind of seems like what Matt was doing during the Eagles game. He was just kind of just sitting there, just letting the pocket collapse on him. Sometimes when he did get sacked, that's kind of what I saw. But Fitz, he'll take off running real fast.
He could be a bit of a statue, so I can see the point that you're making right there. Fitz is not remembering that going into the game until he starts scrambling. Fitz is known for getting outside the pocket, plays break down. He's going to take off, try to make something happen. So that is a pretty good point you're making there.
Right, and also as far as us like we said, us offensively against their defense, that's the main concern, just holding up that pass rush and keeping Fitz clean. He's gonna have to run though. He's gonna have to take off a few times, but I trust in his, his abilities and the skills that he does have left to be able to keep himself clean and stay away from having too many sacks or too much pressure on him or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, all we need as Bucks, as the team goes, all we need is him to play. I mean, give us half of what you did last week. I mean, he had just that good of a game. Yeah. Give us half of what you did last week. I mean, maybe even if he could keep it to, sounds like, sounds like deja vu like last time. But if he can keep it to 1 turnover and maybe I say at least 250, 3 touchdowns, I think that'll favor us because I just don't see I don't see their offense coming in and doing what your offense did to us. I just don't see them having.
Yeah, Philly don't have that.
Yeah, it's a stagnant offense. Like you can exploit them if you get some kind of.
And again, we do allow yards, but we will get turnovers. So if we can get those same timely turnovers, man, we could definitely. This game, to be completely honest, I mean, I didn't think we had too much of a chance to beat y'all. I mean, I believed in my team, of course, but like I thought we were going to lose that game. But now that it's played out, and looking at the situation Philly has, and looking at how our teams kind of, we just kind of had a good little game week 1.
Right.
I think this Philly game is actually more winnable than if we were to have to play y'all again right now. Like, I think this game is more winnable than the game we just won.
No, that's fair and accurate. I could definitely see where you're coming from with that perspective. And plus, now you guys are coming in with momentum. And that's a lot of times that's what a team needs. Like, even when you have a team that has, especially going into the Superdome in that situation, and you guys walk out with a victory, and there's a resounding victory, it was very handily taken care of, it's going to give you a lot of confidence. And now you're going back home to defend your home turf, so you just got to hold serve, and now you're looking at 2-0. So and who would have thought outside of Bucks Nation that we be talking about, hey, the potential is real for them to be 2-0. Again, I think the Fitzmagic thing, that was great for week 1, but I feel like now you're going to see things settle down more into what does your defense actually look like and what does your offense look like. So let's go ahead and switch gears. Another game that'll be going on at noon is going to be, well, actually all 3 of our games are at noon, so this is going to be hard for us next week because I don't know how we're going to watch all these games. So the Browns and Saints, Saints are going to host the Browns, so we get week 2 at home, which is kind of rare for us, but after opening week 1, so we get the Browns, and the Browns were really impressive to me, and that's why I paid so much attention. They're really impressive to me against what I think is a pretty solid Pittsburgh team. In fact, I think Pittsburgh one of the better teams in the league, and they held their own. So the things I would be most concerned with is, what are the Saints going to come in and do on defense? I ain't worried about the offense, but I do have some key points about that I'm going to hit real briefly. Starting with the defense, the Saints have to come out of that single high. Marcus Williams is good. In fact, I'd even say that he's probably one of the top 10 safeties in the league, period. If you could name 10 free safeties that are better than him, I'll eat my words, but I don't think you can. So you have that, but you don't have Earl Thomas back there. You don't have old Sean Taylor back there. You don't have a guy that can have the range to get sideline to sideline and make things happen, which was put on display on Sunday. I think you need to put him in the cover 2. The guy that came from Carolina, Kurt Coleman, he made some really bad mistakes. And you have to think about, the Saints started 4 players on defense that weren't on the team last year. You had Alex, well, he was on the team, but he didn't play much. Alex Anzalone, Demario Davis, Patrick Robinson, and Kurt Coleman all started for the Saints. There was a lot of miscommunication in the secondary. So at some point, you had to feel like the coaches thought, okay, the 3 guys who were here last year, I'm going to trust them to get this fixed, and it never happened. I don't think you see that against Cleveland. Not to mention, you have somebody who's really considered a mobile quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. I think they're going to put a spy on him, and you're going to see something different. It won't be a third down scrambling to ice the game with Tyrod Taylor. They know what's coming, but I think that they're going to bait him into some interceptions. One thing that's clear about Tyrod, if you were in cover 2 or cover 3, you could bait him into throwing bad passes. He did a lot in Buffalo, so I'm expecting that. On the offensive side, the team is definitely missing Mark Ingram. There was some teeth missing from the offense. People think, y'all scored 40 points. Kamara went off, but we had no presence on the ground. Our leading rusher had 29 yards. You can't win a lot of football games that way in the NFL, especially in the South. So with Mark Ingram gone, that balance was gone. And we put Gillislee in, and he looked like he just didn't look good to me. He didn't look comfortable. I know it's his first week with the team. He didn't look comfortable.
He gave up 6 points, too.
Yeah, and then he fumbled the ball, and I'm just, that's part of the reason he's out of New England. He had a fumbling issue in Buffalo. Then New England picked him up. He had a little bit of a fumbling issue, got in Bill Belichick's doghouse. And when you fumble in New Orleans and you ain't a first-round pick, Sean Payton going to sit you down for a minute. The only 2 guys who ever survived that was Reggie Bush and Mark Ingram. Those are the only guys who survived fumbles and kept getting carries. If you're not a first-round pick and you fumble, he going to sit your ass on the seat. And that's what happened to Gillislee. He had 1 carry after that fumble, if I recall correctly. So that's kind of my perspective on what's going to happen. I am predicting a Saints win. I mean, they got embarrassed at home, and not embarrassed because it was the Bucks, embarrassed because they came in with all that hype, and it was just flat. So they got to make up for that because they owe that to the fans and they owe that to the people that support them. So I'm gonna throw it to you guys and kind of figure out what y'all think. Jamie, what do you think about Browns versus Saints?
I think that the Saints have definitely humbled themselves to where they know that they got to come out and play. They seen that they got beat at their home. So, I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think to me it was more of a humble pie. We came out a little cocky, a little arrogant, but I expect them to definitely play much better than they played Tampa Bay.
Definitely. Well, on the defensive side, yes, absolutely. You should see a better effort, and it's home, so you got to do something because they ain't going to roll for a couple games, and I think it's Atlanta the very next week, so they can't play no games. You can't go into Atlanta 0-2. Now, Sean, what do you think about how that played out, or how this going to play out on Sunday?
I think y'all in a little bit of trouble because that Browns roster is revamped. They didn't struggle with Pittsburgh for no reason. Like, they were in that game the whole game. They should have won that game realistically, but
definitely should have won that game. They had a 20-yard field goal. I mean, with an OT. To ice the game. I mean, that's game over. 20 yards. That's supposed to be game over. But
yeah,
by the grace of God, the kick got blocked. And,
yeah,
and they won and won. But
you could blame it on the weather. You could blame it on the weather conditions. But now go ahead. What were you saying?
I'm just saying they looking for that first win in a year. And God help y'all if it comes on y'all.
Well, I'm telling you, the roast is gonna be real.
The roast will be
they
real.
Could bring it. The Saints started 0-2 last year. I'm telling everybody, it took them 2 weeks to work out the kinks, and then what happened? 8-game win streak. Ain't no panic in Who That Nation. I ain't worried about it. It's embarrassing to get blown out like that at home and have somebody double you up in the third quarter, but they made it look respectable by the end of it by driving down the field. I don't think you see the Browns. Let's keep in mind, Browns were down 21-7.
I second that.
I could almost say that Pittsburgh let them back in the game, but I'm not going to take that type of credit away from a team that I've been harping on all season. I'm going to say they found some intestinal fortitude and stepped up, so I expect their best shot. The thing is, this team, after that effort they put on last week, is not going to sneak up on New Orleans. We know what they look like now. We know where their playmakers are. So
y'all ain't looking past nobody else. I guarantee
exactly,
that.
and that's going to be hell for the rest of y'all. Believe that. Believe that. Don't think I'm going to sit here and just take no ass kicking. Come on now. Believe that. I'm going to still talk trash. We still put up 40. Hey, Sean. Hey, Sean, Jamie.
Hey, I almost gave up 50.
Sean, Jamie, let me ask y'all something. How our one team outscore both y'all teams combined? Okay, next question.
Because we got defense.
Y'all have defense, but y'all have no offense is what I'm saying.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the Falcons really can't say much.
Don't jump them, ladies. Don't jump them.
Y'all lost on the Philly special. I mean, we seen that play, and it happened anyway. That's all I'm saying. But
we played a defense. We lost to a defense.
That sounds like a slug at the Bucks too.
I caught that. I caught that.
Shots fired.
Defense in that game. There's like 1,000 yards of offense given up.
It happened.
The two of y'all.
It was a bad day at the office. It was a bad day at the office.
Somebody still won it though. Somebody scored more points than the other team.
Yeah, it was a bad day at the office. That's all. Shit happened. So.
Hey, but I want to give them a little thoughts on you on y'all's matchup though. Team.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Because like Sean was saying though, the Browns they look pretty good, man. They don't look like the Browns, man. I know, and one thing I know about them, they have they definitely got a legit pass rush though. They got more than one guy that could
Yeah, they got Myles Garrett.
Their defensive line is underrated and is not talked about as much as it should be. Because if they let that machine Myles Garrett, that number one pick, if y'all don't got a tackle that can handle that man, Breeze gonna have a long day, man, and that's a young guy too, so he ready.
We got they both were first round picks last year, so that's gonna be a nice matchup. Two of the first rounders, you got the guy who was basically the first pick in the first round, and the guy who was the last pick in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, are gonna be head to head. And I trust Ramczyk though.
And another guy you want to pay attention to. I actually thought I still remember draft night when the Browns picked Baker Mayfield number 1. I was shocked, but I wasn't. I mean, I guess I didn't dwell on it too long because it was a QB. So I guess they were going for the guy that they thought was going to be their franchise. And Baker looked decent. He's looked decent so far. But another when they went for Ward at number 4, I was like, that's why they're the Browns. I sold out that pick. I thought it was stupid. I was like, who is the kid? You know what I'm saying? I didn't know much about him. I had watched some film on him, but even I didn't think he warranted a 4th round pick. But if anybody knows what he did to the Steelers, then that he was definitely worth where he was picked at, man. That he will.
Yeah.
If Breeze makes an errant throw his way, he will take.
Yeah,
it.
he'll
Like,
make him pay.
He's worth that 4th pick of the draft. Like he's a legit cornerback. Like,
no doubt.
I mean, so far, I mean, it's only one game, but I mean, he didn't have no jitters. He was playing like he's been in the league already. Like,
you know what?
He seems like he's ready.
I like him coming in with that confidence because he gonna look at it like, yeah, I had Big Ben number, so I got Breeze next, and that's when Breeze victimized people. You get cocky, that can go the other way too. Same way.
Oh yeah,
Saints came in cocky. Trust me.
I definitely like MT to welcome him to the league, but he could definitely make some plays. That's all.
It might be Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn and roasted a few decent corners in his later years, so ain't really sweating that one. But I'm gonna say to close it and move on to the head-to-head game, so we can spend a good amount of time on them. I really think that Cleveland is going to come in ready to play football, and it's a faster surface, which actually is going to play to their advantage with Chubb running the ball, with Tyrod being able to break down and come out the pocket, and they're going to use some scrambling and some bootlegs and some called QB runs, maybe some RPO, just to really keep the Saints off balance. But as long as they put a spy on Tyrod, and we got a couple fast linebackers that spy the QB well, if they do that, I think you'll see a much better effort. Not going to say we shut them down completely, because I think there's a much revamped Browns. As I've been telling people all off season, the Browns was coming, and now we're about to see on Sunday. So let's go ahead and shift over to the Panthers and Falcons.
Before
you
shift, are you making any adjustments to the 10-win season for the Browns?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to cover
like
that.
I said, it's reasonable.
That's not happening.
Oh, all right. I mean, y'all seen what they did with Pittsburgh, and that's a division game.
I just feel like I feel like if you giving them 10, I think you giving them the game against us.
I'm giving them a split against the NFC South. Real talk. I said that from the beginning. When I looked at the schedule, they getting a split versus the NFC South. So,
well, let them beat y'all. Let y'all be one of them.
No.
It won't be no Browning over here in Tampa.
Nah, it's our turn to eat a W this week. So, but let's go ahead and switch gears, because I don't want to run out of time, and we need to really talk about this Falcons-Panthers matchup. So, I mean, do we need to do a coin toss, or who want to go first?
I'll go first. I kind of feel like Atlanta has injuries with Neal and Jones, and then we have injuries with Orson, Williams, and Samuel. So I think we both are not arrogant and cocky. I think it's just going to come down to who I want more. I think the game is definitely going to be interesting, but neither one of our teams are cocky going into this game at all. I just think that it's definitely, and we both realize that our teams are not at their best, especially with the injuries. So I think it's just going to come down to who wants it more.
Shon, what you got?
Well, what I've seen out of Carolina in their first game, I feel like that's a one-dimensional offense. If we can fix our red zone struggles in this game, I can win this.
Okay, so if you could score in the red zone, all right. So I guess, Gotti, before I get into some of it, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you see? How do you see this game playing out? I mean, obviously, we probably won't get the opportunity to watch it firsthand. What do you think is going to play out on Sunday when the Panthers visit the Falcons?
Well, first, I'm gonna get to the end result. First of all, I'm sorry, Jamie.
I know you was gonna do that.
I see.
Almost made me cuss on radio.
I see. I see the Falcons taking it, and well, if they can fix their red zone issues, because I mean everybody knows what the Panthers pride themselves on is their defense. So it could definitely the red zone struggles could definitely continue if they don't tighten it up, because you're going against a defensive team. But
right,
I'm gonna say the main reason I see the Falcons winning, I'm gonna say I think the offense kind of gets it together, and I just don't see where the Panthers are at right now, especially because that Samuel injuries is just as it's just as important to them as the rest of the guys because he was going to be. I mean, I personally thought he was going to turn into a good receiver this year, like he was going to take that step. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think their offense as a whole can just keep up with Atlanta on a good day. Like, you know, we know what Atlanta's offense can do when the plays are being called right. And I just don't think the Panthers have enough firepower on their offensive end to be able to keep up with that.
You better hope that you're not wrong.
Hey, it makes no difference. It makes no difference to the Bucks, baby. You know what I'm saying?
He's not wrong.
That's all I'm gonna tell you. You better, because I'm gonna come for you next week.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready to take my lick, man. If y'all prove us wrong, I'll be ready to take my lick. And the Falcons, and for the Falcons' sake, just to put this in for the Falcons' sake, y'all don't want to start off 0-2. If y'all, I believe the way things are going, if y'all start off 0-2, and the Saints go and handle their business, and we come out on top against the Eagles, I find that being a hard hole for y'all to climb out of. That'll be hard for y'all to climb out of that hole. That'll put y'all behind real early in the season if y'all go down 0-2 and everybody else wins.
In this particular season, I think that's fairly accurate. Usually, I don't think early division wins have really impacted the end result for the most part. Like the Falcons a couple years ago lost to the Bucs to open the season, then went on to win the division. So going 0-1 really didn't set them back. The Panthers lost to New Orleans in Week 3 last year and still ended up in very close contention for the division title, really coming down to the last game of the year. All they had to do was win. So to me, in past seasons, I don't feel that way. But this year, the main reason I feel that way, this is also why I think that Carolina wins on Sunday, simply because Atlanta's coming in banged up with some very key members of their defense out. And that's the only reason I give it an advantage. I had it at a push until I found out Deion Jones was out. I don't think Keanu Neal is as important to the Falcons defense as maybe Falcons fans feel, because I've watched him play. He's more liability than good to me. He gonna come up and make a big hit and make a big play here and there, but he also gonna get roasted in coverage. I think having Casey in there is gonna play to the advantage, but now you're missing what I consider the quarterback of the Falcons defense in Deion Jones for a large part of the season. So with those players out now, and then you got Devontae Freeman with an injury and may or may not be healthy coming into the game. Even if he plays, he may not be 100%. These are key members of the offensive and defensive side of the ball that are going to be missing from a very key game in the division. So to me, I think that's why I would have to give the advantage to the Panthers right now. If those guys are healthy when the second matchup comes around, then maybe I'll flip my prediction.
You're a hater. You
all right, T.
I'm picking it because of the injuries.
Hey.
I gave solid reasoning.
I like what you did there, though, T.
I gave solid reasoning. That's all I'm saying.
But you know, going into the game, I
don't think Deion Jones played in the last game.
In the finale last year?
Yeah, I don't think he played in the finale, and we still handedly beat Carolina.
I'm not sure. I thought he played to finish the season because that was a key game for y'all. I don't know that Debo sits that game out.
Those games.
Did he miss the game where he probably missed the game where Cam was dunking on y'all?
Ooh.
Everybody got a shot today. That's all right.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, got it. You don't say.
I'm not sure how that played out, to be honest.
I think that Carolina definitely knows going into Atlanta that our offense needs work, and with Austin being gone, we can't just depend on McCaffrey. We definitely got to have somebody else to definitely show up big for us. So I will say that.
Deion Jones did play the finale last year. Is the 22-10 win? Yeah, he did play that one. I'm double checking just to confirm if maybe he missed the first game, which the score went the other way. No, he played in both last season, so it might have been something a couple seasons back.
Yeah, maybe maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. But anyway, that's a one-dimensional offense. You stop Cam Newton, you stop the Carolina Panthers. You can pick them all you want to, sir.
Stopping them is what's going to be the issue. You got to stop it.
Uh-oh.
You got to stop him.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Because if he comes out there and he comes strong.
We got a machine gun. You can stay with your shotgun.
When Cam Newton comes out and he comes strong,
they got a machine gun with no bullets. When y'all gonna start scoring? Y'all got like 40 points in 2018.
Really?
I'm just saying.
Go fix your defense before you
We could fix that.
anything on my team.
Hey, our
You got a
defense
bunch of
actually
bums.
actually blanked somebody in the preseason.
Hey, I love y'all, but that's those 0-1 arguments right there.
Not really. Hey,
Go ahead, got it, yeah.
hey, give it to him while he got a chance to get it, because y'all know it don't happen that often for them. Lord. The futility. The futility. You got to get him when he can.
Hey man, it just makes it better, baby. When it does happen, man. That's all.
So y'all, so before we close out, unless we have a little bit more from the Panthers and Falcons, do we have any other closing parting thoughts on that game, ladies?
No.
We didn't do our players of the game.
Yeah, we about to get into them now. I just want to make sure that they get their shots off so we can have this on tape for next week.
Oh yeah. We run the ball. I feel like we come away with this victory. We run the ball. We get the red zone issues at least a little bit better than they were in Philly. I feel like we come away with this.
Atlanta by 10, man. Y'all heard it here first. Atlanta by 10.
That's bold.
That was a lie.
bold.
If Cam Newton and that offense come out strong and our defense matches it, there's no way Atlanta's gonna beat us.
Ed
no
Dixon.
They got two players on offense.
Ed
Funches
Dixon.
as a threat.
If Cam Newton come and that
Devin
offense
Funches
out
is
strong,
a number
Atlanta,
2 receiver.
He a number 3.
The division.
they
in
just
the
better hope he
NFL.
don't come out strong because he starts the momentum for Carolina. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to shut him down, but
Ooh.
you got to get to him. So we're gonna see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got to him just fine
we-
a couple of months ago.
Oh, this is
We're
brand-
gonna have to continue this one on the next one.
This is a brand
So
new year.
we're gonna have to continue this on that's the Panthers motto this year. It's a new year. It's a new year. So let's go ahead and close and let's give out some game balls. Player of the week from your team, Falcons. Who you got?
DeMonte Casey.
All right. Shout out to that young man. Bucks. Who you got?
You saying? Oh, my bad. You saying this is this for the game coming up? Or is this for
No.
the game?
Your game ball from Sunday. Who was your player of the game?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, come on, man. Like,
You gotta
I
pick
think
one.
All y'all can answer that question. You got
Fitz magic.
You got to
Fitz
give it to Fitz.
All right, that's fair. That's
You gotta
fair.
give it to Fitz.
Panthers. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Christian McCaffrey,
All
even
right.
though he had the fumble.
Shout out
He
to
came out after that.
shout out to CMC, and I'm gonna give it to my boy.
Nobody.
How you figure? If y'all could give out one in that ugly loss, I'm gonna give out one. I'm gonna give it to my boy who proved to the world that he is an elite receiver. Let's give it to Can't Guard Mike. In spite of his fumble, like Jamie said, I'm still gonna give it to him because he did put up 16 catches, 180 yards, and a TD, and he looked good doing it, flexing on him. So I'm gonna give it to Can't Guard Mike. Now my other player of the week was Alvin Kamara, which I gave on Canal Street Chronicles. Y'all check out my article. Go and drop some comments on that thing.
How you get two?
I
No,
want
this
another one. I
I want
want
another.
no, that's my heart pick. My heart pick for this show is Mike Thomas. That's the guy that I felt like really deserved it. The only reason I didn't give it to him in my article is because he did have a fumble. But in my mind, that wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? But I understand what I had to do in that article. Just follow me on this. Trust me. I'm just saying. But nah, that's my guy. That's my guy. I feel like 16 catches, 180 yards, and a TD let the world know that Mike Thomas is an elite receiver. Now, do you all want to shout out any members of the group before we close?
All the ones who are telling the truth about themselves.
Oh my Lord!
Shout out to little
Ma'am.
Tyler, man. Shout out to Tyler.
Ma'am,
Shout
this
out
is
to-
this is not the platform for your protest.
Shout out to
Get a T.
I would like to shout out Rose Lane. I would like to shout out James A. Haynes. And definitely safe travels for him as he's trying to get out the storm.
Yeah.
Shout out to TJ Young as she's trying to
Hey,
weather
Lou.
the storm.
Shout out to all the Carolina people that's in the storm.
Yeah.
right
Be
now.
safe, y'all. Prayers up.
Absolutely.
Prayers up. Whole East Coast. So, y'all, we're going to close on that. Prayers up to the people on the East Coast. Y'all be safe. Take care of your loved ones. And keep rocking with us because we rock with y'all. This has been the NFC South Blitz. This is T, Shon, Jamie, and Gotti. We out of here till next week. Peace.
Peace.